All right, ladies, we're live. Okay, so the prompting one.
Is the door?
No.
What is this for?
Nothing. Okay. They do like a pre-test.
Can I put Heather on there?
Yeah. You sure can.
Oh, am I taking the test on this?
Well, when we go through, and then I just want you to put what you think, and then we'll
Okay.
see.
Okay.
So basically, with these AFIRM modules, they kind of have like 4 different lessons that go through it.
Okay.
Um,
Scoot this way instead of here.
Oh, can you guys see?
Candy's in the way.
Let's see the volumes up. Okay, so they'll kind of just going through it, and I believe, and it asks stuff along the way. So, okay, professional standards, PDF, so we can always print them. We will do the. I don't think we want to earn it, so we'll do the non-certificate. No,
I want a certificate.
do you want one? I can. I just don't know if they cost money. I really.
What do I do with it?
Okay.
Frame it.
Use it for my next job when I leave here.
Okay. So
Candy,
visual
don't
story.
That would be like not anything.
I don't remember. Are you ready? Did I not do the? Maybe this one doesn't have it. Stop.
I'm trying. I don't know what she's being a bad influence.
Those youngins.
Is this recording?
Yeah.
Is this thing on? Like Sid the science kid. Is this thing on?
Could this be a case for prompting? Watch the learner with ASD participate in an individual work activity.
Tell me when I got it right or something.
Yeah.
Same.
It might not
I'm
do
nervous.
that on these
I'm
ones.
anxious.
It might be the other one.
What did you notice? The student did not complete the task on his desk. He was distracted and looking around the room at other students
See, I
and
should
not
have paused
focusing on his
it, but-
assignment. Prompting could be used with this learner to help the learner remain on task and engaged.
I'll remember next time. I'm gonna pause it.
Is there a test?
No,
Are we done?
that's the other one. No. So, lesson basically looking at how kids with ASD struggle with learning new skills. So then we work on helping them through prompting. And we want to start with the least that they need. What did that sound like?
I don't know.
That sounded like Sean.
Yeah.
Talking to himself. Sorry.
So they can be used to teach a variety of different things. You could point, you can verbally say, you can, like you were doing with Brayden, you were doing more of like the hand over hand. You could do gradual. So basically to help them stay on task.
I'm just gonna send you a note.
So after the lesson, okay, you guys should be able to describe 3 prompting procedures of least to most prompting, graduated guidance, and simultaneously prompting. Oh my God, I got a headache all of a sudden.
Tests or what?
Huh?
Because tests?
No, because you guys. No, I don't know.
I can't help it. Like when I know I'm being like recorded, I laugh.
That's okay. So the first part, lesson 1, will just go
There's no
over.
procedures.
Oh, see.
They'll go over the basics.
60 pages.
Don't be so
Heather, would you like to read?
mean. No.
Okay, I'll just kind of go. Prompting includes any help given to a learner that assists the learner in using a specific skill or behavior, sometimes referred to an errorless learning method. Prompting reduces incorrect responding as learners acquire new skills. Where have we done errorless learning?
What do you
We
mean?
do it in DT lessons. What do we call it? It's like a 3-letter.
Oh, RLT.
RLT. So reinforced learning trust. So basically that's where we don't let them get them wrong. So that's what they're saying. So specifically when they're learning new things, you might use that airless learning. So you don't let them. So when they're getting new skills, instead of like, okay, do this, and let them grab the wrong one, and then we help them with the next one, and then they grab the wrong one, like they're not learning it. So that's why we go to, if we're seeing that they're struggling a lot, we may need to go back to that to help them. Prompting is a foundational practice that is used with other evidence-based practices, such as time delay and reinforcement, and as part of the protocols for evidence-based practices, such as discrete trial training, pivotal response training, and video modeling. The prompting procedures outlined in this module contain 3 keys.
Should we write these, you think, or no?
No, you don't have to. The antecedent, the target skill, and the consequence. So the antecedent comes before the behavior. So what that's like, if our cue, like give me red, give me blue, or point to, so any of that we're saying. So the target skill is what the learner's doing. So we want him to give us something. And the consequence is depending on the feedback. So if he gets it right, what we say for, how we do, like, we say what he said, so kind of repeating what they said, like red, so then they have it, and then nice job, and then we reinforce with the pennies. So basically the ABC contingencies. So there's 3 prompting procedures. So there's least to most, gradual guidance, and simultaneous prompting. So these have been shown to be effective in helping learners with ASD acquire skills by providing and removing prompts in order for learners to perform skills. You guys really don't have to, unless you wanna. Okay. So, and we can always put these up too, because I think as it goes, like we have that one visual of prompting levels, but so least to most prompting, a prompt hierarchy with at least 3 levels used to teach new skills. At the first level, the learner is given the opportunity to respond without prompts. So that would be where they're the fully independent, they don't need it. So, so just to see kind of where they're at. Let's see. The remaining levels include prompts that proceed from least to most assistance. And the last level is basically controlling the prompt, which is that, you have that hand over hand, basically you're doing it with them. The whole thing. You could use this in discrete skills, so naming pictures, reading words, saying hello, chaining things like dressing, washing hands, doing laundry. Gradual guidance, so teachers and practitioners provide a controlling prompt, which ensures the learner will do the skill correctly. So with this one, so if a learner begins a skill, the prompts are withdrawn but quickly reinstated if the learner regress. So we don't want to give them too much if they can get it. So how they're saying is, so like during a teaching activity, so as learners begin to use the new skill, the prompts are withdrawn but quickly reinstated if they regress. Judgments are made during the teaching activity based upon the learner's response. Failure to appropriately fade prompts can cause the learner to become prompt dependent. So Peyton, I think David, Braden, they've all had things like where they kind of know or they're expecting you to. Peyton, I think especially because if she wants us to, point, or it almost becomes like a routine for her. So we want to give them the least that we want, but we want to slowly fade it out. So if we're doing hand over hand, and we kind of fade it off, and if they're doing part of it, then we keep going down to decreasing the amount of prompting. But if they're still struggling, then we can keep going with that level. Chain skills that include a physical component and multiple steps, such as getting dressed or washing hands. So that's kind of where we talked about that backwards chaining and forward chaining. Like if we're teaching new things, we might do everything with them, and then we might have them do one step and then slowly increase. So kind of like the gradual process of it. Simultaneously prompting, so these would be instructional and probe sessions are conducted in the Instructional session, the task direction or cue, so the signal to use target skill. In controlling the prompt, ensures learner will do the target skill successfully. So are delivered simultaneously. So in the probe sessions, the cue or task direction is delivered without the prompt to monitor progress. So that's when we're just kind of seeing what they know. So then when we go into the simultaneously prompting, that's the one where the most effective near airless teaching procedures.
Becky Randall,
So like,
please
let's
call
say,
1006. Becky
so that I
Randall,
think this guy's
1006.
doing it. So with that one, I'm looking at, so the simultaneous, so as you're asking, you're kind of prompting at the same time. So it's kind of that, but you still want to do the least that they need. 5 types of prompts. So there's gestural prompts. You guys understand them? Okay. So like if we were washing hands, this could be, gestural prompt. Verbal prompts, so saying what we want them to do. Visual, so that could be anything from pictures, or if we have like our cards or anything that's with us to give them something to look at.
What was the first one?
Oh, sorry. Gestural.
Gestural.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
Yeah, got it.
yeah, anything to help them complete a task. So a lot of that modeling and that mimicking how we do, like when we are doing playthings, we're basically giving them prompts of how to do things too. Visual prompts, other ones, so checklists, schedules, anything like that that they see, and we want to make sure it's age appropriate. Model prompts. So model prompts involve demonstrating the target skill, or visual prompts are when not verbal or visual are not helpful. So because verbal and visual will be the least, besides having them do it independently. So that can be like us teaching them to do something. Brayden does really good with it. Most of them do, like, okay, do this. So we're doing that modeling. That would be like in the DT lessons. But anything like that we're doing and they haven't done, or if we show them, that would be the modeling prompt. The physical prompts. So physical prompts are useful when teaching motor behaviors and when the learner with ASD does not respond to a less restrictive prompt, such as the modeling, the gestures, verbal or visual. Where's my spot? Okay. It can either be full or it can be partial. So full physical prompts, that would be where we're basically leading through the task. That's that hand over hand. So when we move to partial, that's maybe like we give minimal, like maybe we just kind of nudge the arm so they're going towards, I was like, why are you looking at that? So we're going towards, I don't know if you want to look at the page. Maybe she doesn't want to look at the computer. Okay. Sorry, Bobby. It's probably really boring to see on the screen. You can't see. So yeah, so if we just need to help Peyton a little bit get to where she's going and then we back off, that would be considered our partial. All right, checking in. Mr. Haynes is working with Seth to help him learn how to raise his hand when he is ready to move on to the next activity. If Seth does not raise his hand once an activity is complete, Mr. Haynes uses a visual cue to prompt Seth to raise his hand. If Seth continues to not raise his hand, Mr. Haynes, I don't know if it's Haynes, whatever, models raising his hand. What prompt procedure is he using with Seth? What do you guys think?
I want to read it again because I'm better.
Yeah, that's fine.
Least to most? Or gradually? Because like a visuals, because modeling is like the most.
What's your thought?
I don't think it's least to most.
Okay, what do you think?
I don't know. I think it's maybe, I don't know, simultaneously, but I don't know why.
Because I like the word.
Okay,
I can't
so
say
let's
it.
just go through them. Okay, so Heather's correct.
Oh,
That's the
Here.
last one I thought.
Where's my candy? I was gonna give it to you.
I don't
So-
need any.
But this is why it's correct. So first he's using that prompt hierarchy. So he's kind of letting him see if he'll do it on his own. okay? And it says if he does not raise his hand, then he might use a visual cue. So then he'll try to give him a little bit more. So he's starting with the least, which give him a chance, and if not, then we go up to another one. Gradual guidance would not be correct because you're using the hierarchy with the 3 prompts. The last prompt serves as the controlling prompt, which ensures the learner will respond correctly. So by modeling it, he'll get it correct. And it's not this because Mr. Haynes is using a hierarchy with the 3 prompts again. The last prompt serves as the controlling, so basically the same answer.
It's okay. I guess I'm just better.
Like I care.
All right, goals of prompting. So that
You
could
should see
be
my scores. I'm not good.
increasing social skills. There'll be a test one of these days, a pop quiz.
Yeah.
You'll get it. So increasing social skills, communication
Taylor Swartzoff,
skills,
please call 1006. Taylor Swartzoff,
adaptive skills,
1006.
play skills, academic, on-task behavior, and then generalizing those skills into other environments. So basically everything that you could do. How can it help learners? So those that struggle with learning new skills through imitation or understanding the key details. So they often will give the like social and communication and adaptive, just all those things that I talked about, them being able to help. So they need more of that direct instruction. And when we do that, the prompting would help them get to the level where they're needed. I mean, it's basically like they can't do something, so we're gonna find what they can do and then go from there. So if they can do part of it, then we let them do part of it, and then we help them at whatever level that we would need to. Here it says to maximize success and increase their generalized use of acquired target skills, prompting can call, this is where the airless learning talked about again, and includes a set of procedures designed to reduce incorrect responses. Because if we're letting them get incorrect responses continually, they might not understand. So why they are. So like if we were doing DT lessons and we're like this, and we wanted to say, point to the smiley face and then one like that, and then we'd take them away and put them back, and then point to the smiley face. So now I'm gonna maybe block it, so they only can get it right.
Right.
So, because we don't want to like point to, and then they do it again, and then we take, so we
Right.
want them to know. So that's where that is. And if they're really struggling, even, so now we go back and do it again, and they point to that one. Then we do the error correction, where we don't let them. And if it keeps going like that, then we might go into that airless, where every single time we don't allow them, we help them to get the correct one. We did that with Peyton in the counting the pennies.
Oh yeah.
You know, like we worked on that.
And then
We
it
went
stopped her right
to
at
stop, like, so we didn't let her keep going. And then slowly we'd maybe then go to, we kind of give that pause for her to see if she will do it. Prompting can be used by a variety of professionals, including you guys. Parents and family members, you guys can do this at home too. You can try it with,
My cat.
no, well, sure. give your cat some visuals.
Here, Seth.
Both the same thing. You gotta do the same.
So a gesture, if he's not, that's kind of,
Lean up. What'd you say?
You have to do it with the men too, I was saying,
Yeah.
because they're both like
Oh.
children.
yep.
And I remember.
So early interventionist, here's this one.
Like Dr. Phil said one time, this couple was on there arguing.
I
about
am
picking up
teaching
the
Mila
garbage,
to match colors using simultaneous prompting.
complaining
In our
about it.
instructional
Most of the time it's done in the
sessions,
middle of the
I
room,
use
and then
hand
he'll just
over
see it
hand as a
visual to pick
controlling
it away.
prompt to make sure she matches the colors correctly. In the prompt session, I do not provide any prompt, but I am able to determine the progress Mila is making with the learning colors.
So basically what she said, if you could understand her. It was kind of, I thought it was going to have a little video with it. So there, she's using the prompting. So right now she's doing hand over hand, but before she even did that, she just did some probe sessions to see what she could know. So a prompt hierarchy.
Mr. Jones.
Yeah, I don't think it's going to do anything other than just read it. So this one, Colin's doing really well with reading. He has trouble sounding out the longer words. So we have developed a prompt hierarchy using least to most prompting, where we gradually sound out the difficult word for him and end with the controlling prompt by saying the word for him. So we'd kind of that gradual, like maybe you'll give him a little like the little help and stuff like that. And if he can't get off of that, then maybe you give him a so whatever you're gonna say. And if he still can't, then we would say fish. So we're kind of doing that with Braden. If we don't have the visual, we're like, say boat. But if what is this? And if he doesn't, we'd say, smile. Good. Okay, so the high school para is using gradual guidance to teach Elliot how to sort laundry. So I use a physical nudge to prompt him to sort colors and white colors, sort colors and white. I then gradually withdraw the prompts. However, if he makes a mistake, I begin using the physical nudges again. So making sure that he doesn't start getting it wrong, because if he starts getting it wrong over and over, then he might get kind of confused. This page basically talks about how it's evidence-based for prompting, and this table will show you kind of like what they're suggesting. So for early intervention, where they're looking at 0 to 2, there really isn't, there's play. So that's kind of more of what we're doing. When you get to the preschool years, the prompting can help in these areas. So social communication, joint attention, school readiness, play, motor activities, academics, and it just kind of goes on. So from those younger years, you're just kind of doing the more play. So a lot of times with Braden, when we're doing the, it works really well for that too. But that goes all the way over until. Getting started. Have you identified the behavior? Collected baseline data through direct observation and established a goal or outcome that clearly states when the behavior will occur, what the skill is that we want them to know, and how we will respond to it and know when it's mastered. Have we done all those? Excuse me, we're not doing them right now. But if we were, so let's say Peyton, what could be a problem for her? Well, we kind of did one, like her screaming and yelling. So
Right.
we kind of looked at how much it was happening. So those sheets that we would record. And then our goal was that she would ask for a break. So slowly we might do you need a break? So we started, and then now she's, so we'd slowly reduce what prompting that she needed.
Right.
So like even the picture card or what do you need? So even those like cues to what she needs.
When I showed them to Peyton, like in the Holland essay, like Peyton, it has to be 0 or 1, and then she'll say 0. I think she thinks I'm asking her which one. I noticed
could
that
be.
yesterday.
And she
0 or
chose
1.
0, and I'm like,
I was like 0.
Okay, so begin the basic activity by selecting begin activity button. Okay. View larger.
5 prompt types are used with prompting procedures. The prompt types include gestural, verbal, visual, model, and physical prompts. In the following activity, you will match each of the 5 prompt types with an example of the type of prompt.
Oh,
It is
geez.
important to become familiar with each
What did it do? Okay, I think, do we pause it? Why does it do that?
It was
Is it?
paused.
Was it paused, and
Yeah.
that's why? Okay. Technology. Okay. So just as long as
No,
we don't touch it.
No, there we go. Yep.
Okay. So the first one.
Teacher makes up sound prompt to learner to read the word moon. Verbal.
Do you agree, Tammy?
Yeah, right now, yeah, until I read
Can
them
you
all.
see? Sorry.
Yeah, I can.
Okay. So the next one, mother taps her daughter's hand to prompt her to use her fork when eating.
That'd be gestural or physical.
Can I read? Can I read them all first?
Yeah, go for it. Can you guys see them?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Mother taps her daughter's hand to prompt her to-
I'd say that this one's physical. Wait, and that one's gestural, you think?
Okay.
And that one would be visual, and the other one would be model.
Sorry, Bobby. I don't know if you like our view or not. You can look
Okay,
at the
that's
pairs
what I
for
think I got.
that
I
if
don't
you
know.
want.
Oh no, that's a bad angle.
Okay.
That makes me uncomfortable. Sorry, Bobby.
No, that's okay. Okay, so what do you got?
I don't know. I have E, B, C, or E. Oh, I have B
Here,
twice.
I'll write mine on there.
Wait,
Okay.
no.
E. Okay.
Perfect. Can I interrupt you or not?
Yeah.
I'm recording if it's anything private that you don't want anybody to see. It's
Okay.
just for Bobby.
Okay.
She's,
All I need is just for
Oh, contact information.
yes.
I'm sorry.
Did okay and here, like I did they like for the insurance the singles. What was that?
Go with the highest.
Okay, still. Okay.
Because in July and August, it'll cost you $22 a month. They won't take it out until you start back and you start getting a paycheck. And then you can switch it again in October if you really don't want to pay that $22 a month. But it's so much better, and
Okay.
it also, and that way HVAC has to pay more money.
Perfect. Oh, I forgot to call.
The dentist.
Shoot, you guys, I'm just freaking out.
Say sorry I had too much candy today.
Oh, I feel so bad.
Are they calling because you have an appointment?
Yeah, I forgot.
Just swipe right.
Do you need me?
Yes.
Just put mine in there, will you?
I'm freaking out. My dentist is calling me. No, I'm kidding. Okay, what is it?
Where am I?
Right
I can't see. Oh yeah. What do you need?
Your email.
it, and then a phone number if you want to give us either a landline or a home phone. It don't matter. It's not
Okay,
gonna get
so my
published.
email is still Statler.
Well, that's gonna really mess them up.
At springgrove.coop.
I spelled Spring Grove wrong. Spring. Sorry.
And another G, yeah.
.com.
Yep, COOP.
Oh, are they? Who is?
Yep. And my number is 507 459 0686. Yeah.
Oops, I forgot to put the dash. Oh, sorry, guys. I'm really slacking.
It's because you didn't get your teeth cleaned.
I feel bad. I really just forgot about it.
All right, I'm
Thanks.
just gonna save it before I.
You're supposed to have dance with me today?
Yeah, and I mentioned it to her. I'm like, I have to call yet. And I totally forgot.
This is the second time she's canceled it. You got all your answers?
You're gonna be kicked out.
Do they do that?
I don't miss my appointments.
Oh my goodness.
No.
I feel so
Okay.
bad.
Yeah,
Hold
they're
on.
really sorry we cannot offer you dental service anymore.
Oh my gosh. You guys.
I'm joking, they'll still want your money.
Oh, they even left me a voicemail.
Okay, just-
oh,
Sweet.
jeez.
This is on
Oh,
Outlook.
that's
Does it
D.
just save on Excel? Because it
That's
doesn't
what I
even have a
wrote.
spot for me to save it.
What'd you
know?
write?
Is it on, are you like in a
We
drive?
have C and D the same, and E.
Yeah.
We have
well,
A and
I'm
B
in a-
different.
Something that Jenny set up. Where's the save button?
Can you right
In
click?
Excel, there's no save button because your workbook is being saved automatically.
Okay, so then it must be, yeah.
There you go.
There you go. All right, what'd you guys get?
I had E, A, C, D, B.
Okay,
I have
so we
E.
have C, the same, right?
Yeah.
And then, did you have any else the same?
We have D the same. Mm-hmm. Yep.
Okay, so we have left A and B. Okay,
Mhm.
so we have physical and gesture. So we're looking, so a mother taps her daughter's hand to prompt her to use her fork when eating. A father demonstrates brushing the teeth to prompt his son to brush his teeth. So what's the difference between these two? What is the mom?
The mom's touching her,
She's touching her, yep.
and the dad's showing him.
Yes. So anytime there's like a touch, that would be the physical. If I'm demonstrating something like brushing my teeth, then it would be the gestural.
Got it. What? What?
Whatever.
I'm kidding. At least you're good on your dentist.
What did I do incorrect?
I have a dentist appointment.
Oh,
on
I didn't
Monday.
do the thing.
Oh,
But
call. I feel like a bad.
It is important to
Probably
become
should pray
familiar with
tonight.
each type of prompt
I'm
in
gonna
order to
pray.
implement prompting procedures correctly. Verbal prompts include verbal assistance provided to learners. Gestural prompts use a gesture
I
to
wrong?
provide the learner with information.
no, I was doing that like
Visual
they-
prompts include pictures, visual instructions, and
Sorry.
schedules. Model prompts involve demonstrating a target skill. Physical prompts are useful when the learner does not respond to less restive prompts and when teaching motor behaviors.
Good job, you guys.
We did it.
That's stressful.
Wait, are we done?
No. We're like on page like 9 out of 30, I think.
You know.
So that's the basic activity.
Oh, we're on 10 of 30 or 10 of 60. Oh man.
Hey, you finished the first lesson.
Yay.
And we passed.
We're gonna certificate.
No, I'll make you guys some if you want. Okay, so now we're going to talk about planning for how we are going to do the prompting.
Okay.
So before we're even going to decide like what, before we're going to decide what evidence-based procedure we're going to use, we want to know what the behavior is. So you're going to identify the target skill or the behavior in observable, measurable terms. That means, so if I'm not here and you're going to describe Peyton's behavior, you have to describe it. There's something in my face. You have to describe it in a way that I would be able to understand it. You guys are bad. No more candy
Sorry,
for you.
Bobby. They're not like this all the time.
Okay, so what do you have to do with behavior?
Stop.
Yeah. Stop. Okay, so behavior, define it in observable and measurable terms. You guys are gonna have detention. Okay. So a discrete task. So that's a task that requires a single response and it's relatively short duration. So that's like in our DT lesson, point to this. So pointing to objects, identifying letters, answering questions. A chained task. A chain task. So there's several behaviors that need to occur to make that more of a complex skill. So you're taking, brushing your teeth and you're separated into lots of small parts. So you might have to teach all of those small parts. So, you guys, whether to teach us, okay. So, washing hands, getting dressed, cooking. So Heather, what would you do for washing hands? So what, tell me some steps for washing hands.
You took my notes.
Oh, I'm gonna take notes.
Can I do this?
You wanna do the washing hands
Yes.
one? Okay.
No, hold on. Okay.
You
I'll
don't
let
wash
you-
your
I'll
hands,
let
so
you-
don't know.
I'll let you pick
I'll
between
do
there.
both my notes.
Washing hands,
Yeah, do blow your nose.
turn-
What are
you
the
turn-
steps in blowing your nose?
turn water on.
Okay.
I say water on. Get soap. Scrub hands together. Water off. Dry hands.
Throw away.
Did I miss anything?
What are you doing? Are you adding to it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Throw away the.
Paper towel.
Okay. So, you turn on water. Okay. Get soap.
From the dispenser.
So you could add that, yep. Or, and then you could also put so am I gonna go like this with the soap?
Once.
So you can even get like one pump of soap or one, so things like that, especially with people with,
Do you want them short?
You can,
or
and
do you
this
want 'em
is-
lengthy?
this
Does that
is
matter?
well, you'd wanna break them on steps. So turn on water, that could be one. Get soap, and then you could have that. So if you wanna be really specific, then we can. I'm not saying you have to every time, but if you have someone who takes 5 paper towels and you
Sure.
really need, then you can look at that
Okay.
as more of like, this
Roll
is,
up sleeves.
so that could be one. So before you even turn the water on, that could be roll up sleeves. Get soap. Scrub hands together. Okay, so they're scrubbing hands together. Now they're turning the water off. What did we not do?
Rinse.
We didn't rinse our hands. Yeah. So you scrub your
Oh.
hands, might think you just are, and then turn it off, but like for them, they might not. So rinse underwater and then water off, dry hands, throw away paper towel. So just those small things. So if we were gonna look at sequencing, maybe we could do, let's see, forward chaining would be where we have them do the first one and then we help them with the rest. And then once they have that, we might have them do these two and then help them with the rest, and then so far like that. Backwards chaining is where we do everything except the last one. We have them do it. And when they have that, then we just keep on adding a step. So, good job. We've done these before, like how do you make a peanut butter and jelly sandwich? So if I was gonna video model or teach someone how to do it, the step by step, And it's easy for us, but then some need it broken down. But then after a while, they're just doing it and, they don't need to follow that.
Yeah, you don't
Mhm. So for bathrooming, this is one that we could do for Braden, like what are our steps? So we could look at that, and I know we have one, so let's do that. So Braden, when Braden gets into the bathroom, what would be the first thing we'd want him to do?
To go into the stall. Back stall.
Okay.
Like-
Well, so our initial go to bathroom.
What was that?
I don't know. The door was opening.
I don't know. I just saw it.
Okay, so go to the bathroom. So maybe to go to the bathroom, we'd give him an icon. Okay, so now he's in the bathroom. He's in the stall. He locks it because that's what he does.
Mm-hmm.
He's pretty good at all, like that part. So then the next part would be to,
Pull pants down.
okay, pull pants down. Okay, then what?
Pull up.
I take the pull-up off, and then I tell him to throw it in the garbage.
Mhm.
So
So you could, if we're helping them take up, if he's not able to, if it's something that we could teach him to do, take pull up off, that's where our prompting might come in there too. So let's just say that we pull up off, so he's gonna do that,
okay.
then throw in garbage like you said.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, the next step would be,
Sit on toilet.
so and then, yep, so we're on the toilet now, and then you could even have something like sit on toilet for how long? So he has, I know I read stories to him the one day, like the potty stories on there. So some way so they know when their time is up. Because I think that's the hard time. Like when I was walking with Ashton and I asked like, how many laps does he do? And she's like, oh, usually about 4 or 5. And then I'm walking, I'm kind of like, how does he know? Like maybe he can count them, but is there a way for him to know when he's going to be done? So that's where I wanted the penny board. So every time we walked, then I gave him a penny for that.
I
So-
liked how she had this, put the straws in.
Yep.
That was nice. I like that.
So you could, like, and if you were gonna do it so they didn't all carry them, like, let's say you start at one end and you grab a straw and you go all the way to the other end and put it, and then you come back. So you kind of see how many more you have left to do. I was suggesting that to Christy this morning, like with them riding the bike downstairs, like if they have to ride their bike to a certain point and then pick something up, put in the basket, and then bring it, deliver it to where it should go. Even if you have like colors in different places, like sorting colors, but then it's like, I don't know, a task or something. All right, so after they're sitting on the toilet and they're done, what should we do?
For Braden,
Yeah.
I have him throw toilet paper in and flush.
So we'd want him to wipe or wash ourselves, yep. And then flush.
And then pull pants.
I assist
Or-
with putting the pull-up
right,
back
yeah.
on. Yeah.
Okay, so pull up,
on,
on, and then you said pull pants up.
pull pants up. Yeah.
And then I would say after that, you could go wash hands.
Mm-hmm.
And then at the wash hands, you might have like what we did here at the wash hands.
Is wash hands in there?
Yeah.
Toothpaste. I know the toothbrush.
The
one.
toothbrushes and the wash hands.
I haven't like actually.
So now
looked at
let's
it.
say that we're in there, he's struggling pulling down his pants. So first we'd want to have him try by himself. And if he's not, then maybe we want to, if he doesn't do it before we even say pull down pants, if he doesn't do that, then we can give him that verbal, or we can point to the picture, or, you know, gesture, pull down pants. And if not that, then we might go to that partial, like where we kind of help him. And if he's not, that's when we do the full. So we might have to do that a few times and then slowly to get him to do it independently by himself. Same thing with pull-up off. We might have to teach him like, oh, to take my pull-up off, I rip this one, throw it away. So kind of like that step. So there's almost like steps inside of a step. So just different things like that to try to make it so to master this, he's doing this all by himself. We're just maybe standing there, you know. I mean, you could even get to the point where like have him, like if there was a timer, even like flip a timer and then he knows when that's done, how he knows when he's done. Or if he goes to the bathroom, then he knows he went to the bathroom and then he's done. That's what we'd want to get to. So, good job, ladies. So, okay, so chaining the tasks, we'd identified, stop.
I was just doodling.
Okay.
Blame me. I don't even
Completing
paper
the chain,
anymore.
writing down each step. So we wrote down each step, and then watching someone else do the chain. So let's say you wrote down that, kind of like we did this one, and then now I'm gonna do exactly what you told me to do.
Oh,
So then we
see
can go.
if something's missing. Or
Yeah.
how'd you get to that step? Yeah.
So then you could kind of go. So if I do exactly what's listed here, am I gonna be successful? So if not, then we're gonna want to go back and see if we are doing what we need to. Identify the number and sequence of the steps in the change. If steps will be taught one step at a time, or if teach all the steps at the same time. So doing the gradual, so if we're just doing one step at a time and then we do the rest, or are we going through the whole entire thing? So if we did one step at a time, we maybe just work on right now pulling down his pants, and then we might help with the rest. Still try to give him that chance, but then someone's get him to do this independently. We have the sheets in there too. We could get one for Braden, and it kind of has those things listed. So, and then we can put what type of prompt. If it was independent, he did it by himself. If we gave him a verbal, so we'll get those there for him. Okay, before selecting a prompting procedure, identify the target skill or behavior as either a discrete task or a chained task. So feeding with the spoon. Would you say that's a discrete task, like a DT, you know, like, or a chain task? Is it something you'd have to teach them, or is it just something that's like one? Yeah, because change. So you might have even pick up spoon, get food on spoon, bring to your mouth. I mean, so that would be more of like the chained. Did you see if we're right? Oh, I guess it's, oh, I didn't read the thing. Okay, so yeah, that is. Okay. Making a snack, kind of the same thing. There's steps to it. And setting a table, there's steps. So the discrete one, like we said, would be, yeah, touch blue. That's quick one thing. We don't have to, that's the only thing they're doing, so. Okay. Correct. It's a single response and a short duration. So selecting them, moving into it. So we want to only do what's necessary for support, because if we do too much, they're going to become prompt dependent and want us to help them with everything. So the table below outlines the 3 prompting with a corresponding task type. So least to most, we might use for like discrete or chained. When to use it, the learner uses target skill but not consistently. So when we're doing, like he's going to the bathroom and sometimes he has something, sometimes he don't, or we're doing the colors and sometimes he's doing it, sometimes he's not. Like it's not, he's got it every time. And if there's regression, we might have to go back where we're using some. I've seen that like with Peyton. I've seen it with all of them, but they're doing, and then we have breaks and we come back and we might have to get them back into it. The gradual guidance can be worked with changing things. So the target skill is easily assembled with an ongoing routine. So looking at those routines and activities. Chained activities could even be like an art project, steps with an art project. And we could start doing that where we have, get supplies and then to make them independent for doing cut, we have the shapes or whatever. So basically anything. Requires many moment-to-moment decisions about when to apply or fade prompts. So throughout the chain, like we said, we might be doing partial here, but we might be doing full here. And then he might be independent here, which I would say he does it, throws in the garbage fine. So we won't need to provide any prompts there. Sit on toilet. That one's kind of hard because he can't really get up there. We kind of have to help him.
It's getting close.
I seen this really cute thing. It was like a car, and it had so it was a step thing too to go up. So if we had something like that, the one in there is broken. But so that's kind of where they're saying there you might have different levels of prompting. And then moving into the simultaneously prompting, that can work in both the discrete or the chained. So the teacher or practitioner is beginning to work on a new target with the learner. So go down to that thing. So this is kind of how you can decide what you should do. Is that just the tree? Okay, so what is our target skill? Is it a discrete skill or is it a chained skill? So if it's a discrete skill, we could either begin to work on the new target, or we could, I think it's all of them, uses the target skill but not consistently. So that was where we kind of help them get consistent. Or if there's regression, we might help. And then if it's a chained, it looks like, yeah, it's all of them. That's really weird. So I guess this is the only one, so embedded with ongoing routines. And this is something too that we could put up different places just to kind of help like the level of prompt, like if I should use discrete or chained. How I kind of remembered as anything that's like a routine or something that you're doing that's not like a one response or a quick one, that would be more of the chained. Identifying the target. Thought that wasn't a juicy one, Bobby. All right, remember each prompting procedure contains 3 key elements: the antecedent, the target behavior, or the target skill, and the consequence. So ABC, antecedent, behavior, consequence. Behavior a lot of times might be target, your skill, what's being taught, what we're seeing. Teachers or practitioners must identify the antecedent, which is included in the target. So in our DT lessons, it kind of gives us what we should say to them. And then having that, then we know that we all say the same thing. So then we're getting the treatment fidelity, and saying the same thing. Otherwise, they might get confused. Like, I'm like, where's the red? Point to this. Point, you know, so just the same verbiage with everything. And then we also have criteria of like when the skill that's being taught, when it's correct and when it's incorrect. So in there, so that gives us that. And then what we say if it's a correct. So that's so it's all right there in the lessons. You're distracted. Types of target stimuli. So
Who's your favorite now? Me.
naturally occurring event. So a naturally occurring event. So being warm after coming inside is the target stimulus for taking off the coat. So with a natural one, it's kind of those things that just happen. Like, you know that I'm hot, so I'm gonna take my coat off. I might not have to. I know.
I only have eyes for you.
You shouldn't have one event or activity. So completing a reading assignment is the target stimulus for beginning to answer questions. Next activity. Finishing a puzzle is the target behavior before you move on to a new activity. And then the external, so a bell, it could be to transition, so that might be one. Or a teacher asking a question, that would be for you to give a response. Can't believe what?
Nothing.
I'm so bored. I'm picking my face.
I'm sorry.
It's not boring. It's so
I didn't say
informational.
that.
Yes, you just
I did not.
I hate you guys. Okay.
I said it's informational.
There was a little sarcasm with
Because
it.
you're trying to.
I'm new.
So, okay, using the information gathered by identifying target behavior stimulus, teachers and practitioners, then identify a cue. Okay.
Saturday.
Oh my God.
Friday night.
I could never
no.
teach a class with you guys in it. Like,
It's
I'd be
all
up
her.
front.
I'm the goody two shoes over here.
Oh my
Trying to
gosh.
study.
I'd have to put you guys in the way.
In the back.
Of the classroom, so I don't see you, or maybe like in the hallway.
The both room.
Okay, so setting up a cue to begin a teaching activity. So we want to make sure that we have our material, the environment's how we have it, and that's kind of what we talked about, like having the stuff ready, like getting the
detail.
cards and stuff. Otherwise, we're sitting there like, what do we need to do, and it just takes more time. So we having that all ready.
Yeah.
So if we're gonna do snack, and this is hard too, because I'm like, oh, let's have snack. Do we have snack, like everything we need for it?
Yeah, we have snack. We need snack.
Oh my gosh, you guys. 9 more minutes, okay?
Oh, yes.
Oh, it says low battery. I hope it was still recording.
You should have put it in low power mode though.
Huh?
Does she?
Well, if that comes up and it pauses it, would it still? Hopefully she still gives it to me. I hope so. Otherwise, she's missed a lot. Okay.
I think it just popped up.
Did it? Can you watch that a little closer next time?
What?
Can you watch it a little closer next time? Okay, so if we're doing a task direction, provide verbal or visual task cues, telling the learner to take off coat, hang it up, presenting the visual instruction of the activity. Naturally occurring event, so let's say during the school day, the bus arrives. Coming inside after we hear the bell from recess, or the whistle, or them shouting. You guys make me nervous.
I can't help it.
Us?
Make sure
Why?
that the
We
cue
make
is
you nervous.
clear,
Like-
complete, specific, and aimed at the learner. You don't. Learner's skill and interest level in order for the learner to understand what he or she is supposed to do.
Oh, I thought that was something. I'm like, did I even answer this?
Sometimes.
I think she put right. I thought she put right. Not right now. Not this minute.
Not appropriate. Could you please read your note out loud?
That's not appropriate for a student.
Okay.
To ask a teacher.
Okay, so moving on, first prompt, description. So at the first prompt level, so the independent level, so This would be where maybe the learner just automatically does something. We don't have to give a prompt. We don't have to say take off your coat because independently they're doing it. If they don't take off their coat, we might say take off your coat. Or if we have a picture of taking off your coat, we might. Wait. Oh my God. You guys are fired.
Oh,
What'd you?
oh, I did two gestures. Probably not appropriate.
Well, I don't think you're on there, so.
No, what
What
about the
that
other one?
Oh, the camera.
Oh no.
That's okay.
Sorry, we just have too
There's
much
no,
fun.
there's no students here.
Okay.
Too much fun.
So it's okay to be inappropriate.
Each step of the prompt. Okay.
Is giving a look a prompt?
A look.
Yeah.
Huh? It
Because
gestural.
okay.
Like,
Well, no, because like when Braden washes his hands, he'll look at me if I'm like I already washed mine and I dried mine and I'm standing there waiting for him, and before I say something to him,
You kind of look at what.
he'll look at me
Okay.
like instead of me saying okay shut the water off, and I know that's what he wants me to say, like
See, that's where he's
And I kinda-
becoming over prompt dependent. So we want to like back off of that. So we
Yep.
know he knows how to do it.
Yeah.
So kind of get into that where we're not gonna say it, and then I mean you could always point or slowly where we want him to kind of do it.
like that one
by
day
himself.
I said that to you in there. I don't use a lot of words with him. I just let him.
right.
Yeah.
You know, because he knows it. But then I think sometimes I just kind of give him a look. Like he'll look at me, and then I kind of give him a look.
Like
It's
her
kind
Peyton,
of
like,
like
what should I
learning-
do? Because she gets off task, you know. So like I don't know if I should be more like, okay, Peyton, know what's time. Like I know she knows how,
Yeah.
but like for staying on task wise.
You could just say, Peyton, let's focus, anything
Okay.
like that, just and then draw her back in. So, okay, so they're looking at taking off your coat. So if we go through the most independent, so independent, like we said, would just be they do it themselves. And then next we could have gestural. So what could we do for a gesture? For take off your coat.
Okay, let me think. Sorry. Show them, or like take off your coat, like on yourself though.
So you could be like
Yeah.
that or something like that. Or if there's
Oh yeah, because I'd be modeling. if you
zip,
did
like you're like zip it up, you know, so that would be if we're just doing a gesture. Okay, so then we'd move on to a verbal prompt. Of course, that'd be like take your coat off. Visual could be pointing to like a coat. Next, we could have partial where we might start with them, help them kind of, or we model it too. That would be one of them too, but help them partially do it, and then we kind of let them finish it. Or if they can't, then it's hand over hand.
What?
5 minutes.
I'm not counting, Tammy. I'm sorry.
I'm looking.
Select reinforces. So to increase the likeliness that the learner will continue to use those target skills, we want to look at the reinforcers that help them want to maintain that. So they could be praise. Some Braden likes Kit Kats, evidently. So
Yeah.
suckers.
That's so
Just different things like that he likes. Food related, activities, Play-Doh. So things that he's motivated. So, okay, let's brush our teeth first, or let's wash our hands, and then we can play Play-Doh. Because if he doesn't want to wash his hands or brush his teeth, you know, and we show like, if we can do Play-Doh, then he might do it. But and if Play-Doh's not motivating, then we could try to find something else that might be motivating. He's got to be motivated to do it because he wants something. There again, it's the antecedent target.
I just thought of something.
What?
Does Braden like foods that he can like break in twos? Like the graham crackers he can break, the crackers he can take apart, Kit Kats break.
I don't know. We could try. We could sample, just have a bunch of things and see what he does with them. But when he has the peanut butter ones, are you saying just to eat, like that's his preference?
Yeah,
Like if it's something he could take apart, he'd
right.
eat that?
I mean, just yeah.
Yeah. Like he can do that with the Ritz peanut butter things. I mean, he just puts them in his mouth, but if it's something like that, yeah, I don't know.
Sorry.
No, it's
My
okay.
mind was
Follow
wandering.
the unique planning steps for the selected prompting procedures. Learn more about planning for least to most prompting. To most, select the number of level, the types of prompts to be used, when to use it, determine the length. this just kind of goes into talking more about like the skills and if the learners can do it, how long, like waiting, different things like that, time available. Time available. So if like you don't have a lot of time, you might give them, so, okay, so as it's added, the trial will take longer and fewer trials to be used. So as it goes on, it will probably take less time. Right away, it might take us, like, remember to get them in the bathroom, how long it took?
Mm-hmm.
Like,
Yeah.
Crazy how far he came in that little bit.
Any number of prompts, prompt combinations, different types. Prompts can all be used. So there's 5 types: the gestural, verbal, visual. We can model it. We can model it partial, we can model it full, and then we have the physical. So sometimes Peyton, or when we talk, they're not hearing us. So sometimes instead of using the verbal cue, having that picture card would be an alternative. Or sometimes you can do it together. Like, you know, we have our cards, but we might say it's a whisper.
0 or whisper.
0.
I wonder how close we are to the. Which one are we on? We have a few left. Okay, let's get through these and then we can be done. Let's see if there's anything that we haven't said on here. Okay, so this is just things to consider. So let's say if we know Peyton works really well with verbal prompting, so when we are going to teach her a new skill, that might be something we kind of know. Well, we know she works well, so that might be kind of just like a go-to.
Okay.
So this is an example of a prompt hierarchy. What does it say? Target, skill, raising hand to ask for help. So independent, teacher provides no prompt. Intermediate, teacher raise your hand, so that'd be a verbal. Intermediate, so the second prompt level, that'd be either like your verbal prompt, your partial model, raise your hand for help while they raise their hand kind of halfway, like giving them a, and then the controlling prompt is where you're doing maybe the verbal prompt and physical at the same time. Raise your hand for help while you're kind of nudging theirs. Determining the length of the response. So the response interval is the amount of time the learner has after each level of prompting. If the learner does not use the target skill correctly, the teacher or practitioner provides the prompt in the next level of the hierarchy. So let's say they don't, we give them like 5 seconds to respond or something, 3 seconds to respond, and they don't, then we might go to the next, like a verbal, so kind of like that. And we could probably set a skill, like sometimes David will hear things, but it takes him a while to be like, oh, and I know he knows things, so I think each kid kind of, depending a few seconds. And when we're doing our discrete trials, that's kind of what we're doing too. If they don't answer it in the first 3 to 5 seconds, then we'd take it and present it and help them get it correct. Sometimes stubbornness comes in that too, like with Brayden, we know he can do it. Or like when I'm like, point to X, Y, Z, and he's, like he had to like touch all of them. Okay, let's see. Determine how long. Similar skill, 3 to 5 seconds. Okay, so least of prompting. So direct instructional sessions, small groups, individual, one-on-one. Embedded would be then going. So this is kind of the same thing. There's a planning worksheet that we could do to kind of help with that. And I'll have all these like that you can see too, so if I ever want to go back. Gradual guidance, so identifying the controlling prompt, determining the length, and then figuring out how you're going to fade it. The controlling prompt ensures the learner with ASD performs the target correctly. So with gradual guidance, prompts are most always physical. Verbal prompts can be used with the learners with good language. When providing the physical prompt, stand behind the learner to allow more natural. So like when I had you, when Braden was working on writing his name, I said, why don't you sit behind him, because she was doing more of like a hand over hand. And so that's kind of a more natural how he would normally do it. And you guys need to be careful not to force or hurt the learner when using physical prompts. Got it? Sorry, Mom. If they resist, okay, so let's say Braden doesn't want to, so hold the learner's hand in place rather than forcing the movement. So maybe you're just holding it versus trying to move them. If they continue, maybe just prompt with the movement. I think we want to, there's still that many steps. We can stop too and pick up. Well, we did that, didn't we? Yeah, we did that. We determined the length, we specific, identify. It must have just gone back to what there is. Okay. After this, you're done for today.
Ms. Harris wants to use a prompting procedure to teach Zach to brush his teeth, but she is unsure what prompting procedure to use. Zach does try to brush his teeth, but he is not consistent and needs a lot of teacher support. Ms. Harris is only able to work on the target skill with Zach once a day following lunch. Refer to the prompting decision tree to help you determine which prompting procedure for Ms. Harris to use.
So is the target skill discrete or chained?
Chained.
Is that all they're asking you? Okay. Brushing teeth is a chain because it requires several steps. So this one, based upon scenario, which statement is true? Can you see them? Sorry.
Yep. I wasn't paying attention.
Learner.
I think it's
the
the
regressing one.
It was the last one, wasn't it?
So from what I understand, I think we can maybe go back, but did it say? I don't remember.
Ms. Harris wants to use a prompting procedure to teach Zach to brush his teeth, but she is unsure what prompting procedure to use. Zach does try to brush his teeth, but he is not consistent and needs a lot of teacher support. Ms. Harris is only able to work on the target skill with Zach once a day following lunch. Refer to the prompting decision tree to help you determine which prompting procedure for Ms. Harris to use.
So we said it was chained. Submit. So, okay, it's not a new one. He kind of knows it, but he needs help. So he's not consistent. So looking at the consistency. Okay, so while Zach is able to brush his teeth, he is not consistent. While his skill, he could be part of the ongoing. Okay. Which prompting procedure should Miss Harris select?
Graduation? I don't know.
Check it.
Submit. Oops.
Okay, so let's try another one. What do you think?
Simultaneous. But like, if he doesn't know, like, if he's already having issues, like, wouldn't you want to go right into like?
So you'd be helping him, so you'd want him to get it correct. So if me doing hand over hand, he can get it correct, then I want to move down. I'm gonna do that. So we just kind of do the least to most. We know what that is.
I knew it, but I just wanted you to say it.
Yeah.
All right. All right, well, we'll stop there.
Perfect.
I can see how it can take 2 to 3 hours. Ladies,
It's Jamie's fault.
I know. 69 minutes.
She knew it was your fault the whole time.
I
Oh,
have
for
to
sure.
apologize to you when you shut that off.
Okay. What'd you do?